Well, let's talk now to Andy Preston. Andy's a political commentator and former independent mayor of Middlesbrough. Andy, I am not entirely sure people sitting at home are really that worried about Keir Starmer's future. He's clearly worried about it. There are clearly lots of issues and lots of... Maybe this is a Westminster bubble story, I don't know. What do you think of this, and does it really matter whether Keir Starmer is under pressure? He's clearly under pressure, but whether his leadership is under pressure, because there are many of our viewers and listeners who I'm not sure they would really care. Well, they certainly care who the Prime Minister is, but whether it's Keir Starmer, Wes Streeting, David Lammy, Angela Rayner, maybe we would just have the same outcome. I don't know. What do you think of all of this?
Hi, Peter. Hello, everyone. I think that this doesn't matter too much to my mother, who's cooking at home probably right now, or, someone down the street. But you know what, Peter? It's another thing, isn't it? And when you listen to Keir Starmer then, he sounds like a deeply rattled, terrified individual. He sounds a bit like a librarian who's been hauled in front of his bosses and is in big trouble for something. And I think that it matters in the sense that he has now lost all credibility with the Labour Party. In my opinion, I think, Peter, I remember a conversation we had maybe 6-9 months ago. I remember saying that I didn't think he would last the course. And I remember you saying, really? And I really didn't then. And I'm certain now that he won't. I think now it's just a question of when he goes. I think that Starmer's allies who put out this accusation towards Wes Streeting, that was the most generous thing they could do to boost the coup. The coup is happening. I think the gun's being fired, and I think that it's on other people's terms now. Wes Streeting is in the driving seat. I've no doubt he'd like to be PM. And the last thing I'll say, sorry to labour the same point, but the last thing I'll say, Peter, is that Labour are in an unprecedentedly bad position. I think that their average poll rating now from the last 5 or 6 is about 18%. They've lost the public. They're fighting amongst themselves like we haven't seen.
And this is the point, Andy, isn't it? They are fighting upon themselves. And Benny in Belfast has said this is distraction politics, and the economy is screwed at the moment. The budget is about to cripple us even further. There are issues that really matter to people's lives. We've been talking about construction. We've got various people, including Ernie's, been in touch about that. I'll read out his message in a minute. Leslie as well in Torbay. And there are serious issues with our economy. But actually, of course, the speculation could have an effect on the economy because it could affect the markets. But actually, the real issues and the real leadership that is needed perhaps isn't there, especially when we've got the budget coming up in a couple of weeks' time, Andy.
Keir Starmer, he showed us 2 months ago that he and Richard Reeve, they've lost their ability to govern and get things done. They wanted to slow down the rate of rise of welfare payments. They wanted to slow down the amount of increase that we were spending every year on that part of the budget, and the backbenchers wouldn't let them do it. The backbenchers rebelled. That was 2 months ago. It's got worse now, Peter. So we've got a Prime Minister and part of a cabinet that has no authority with the Parliamentary Labour Party, and that does impact the economy because it means they can't action anything they want to do or anything that's remotely controversial or painful. So I think we're now entering the beginning of a democratic crisis where a government with no moral mandate anymore is going to be lumbering along, and I think that Wes Streeting and others will pop up to challenge him any day now.
Andy, let's talk about Donald Trump. He says he has an obligation to sue the BBC over the doctored speech that was out there. We'll see what happens and what the BBC does and whether they reach any form of accommodation by Friday evening, which he says is the deadline. He's under pressure himself, of course, because of this Jeffrey Epstein email to Ghislaine Maxwell that has emerged about one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims and time that Trump spent. I mean, we don't know what happened during that time, obviously, but it's interesting from Trump's perspective because of that email. Presumably that will have more to do with his reputation and the time that he is questioned about all these issues than the BBC issue, even though he talked about it on Fox News last night.
Yeah, Trump is unquestionably linked deeply with this Epstein web. We don't know what he did or what he didn't do. I'm certainly not saying he is a criminal in this case, but he's definitely involved, and he's definitely promised in the past to open up the files, and now he's going quiet, so it looks like he's got something to hide. So Peter, what's happened now with this BBC situation, the shocking piece of journalism that was completely wrong, disgusting and disgraceful, it's a gift for Trump because it plays to the idea that he is a victim, that the establishment, that people are against him, and he can link the BBC journalists going for him and not playing by the rules and breaking the rules with the Epstein story and say both of them are fake.
Well, Caroline Levitt, who is his press secretary, she'll be speaking in a few minutes' time. We'll maybe bring you a little bit of that. But in the meantime, let's find out what Donald Trump said to Fox News on this particular matter about the BBC.
Are you going ahead and suing the BBC?
Well, I guess I have to. You know, why not? Because they defrauded the public, and they've admitted it. And their top echelon,
Director General and the CEO,
this
both
is
resigned.
Within one of our great allies. You know, this is supposedly our great ally, BBC. The government has a chunk of that one, I guess. But that's a pretty sad event. They actually changed my January 6th speech, which was a beautiful speech, which was a very calming speech, and they made it sound radical. And they actually changed it. What they did was rather incredible. They're showing me the results later on, the results of what they did, how they butchered it up. But it was very dishonest, and the head man quit, and a lot of the other people.
Donald Trump there speaking to Fox News. We may well bring you a bit of what Caroline Levitt, his press secretary, is saying. No doubt she'll be questioned about Epstein. I would imagine that'll be the first thing she's questioned about. She may well be questioned about the BBC. She will have a press conference very, very soon. We may well bring you a bit of that. But in the meantime, Andy, what do you think the conclusion of all of this will be? I mean, the BBC's not going to pay Donald Trump $1 billion, is it?
Well, it might conceivably have to, or everything I've read on the legal side suggests that would be unlikely. But you know what? When you go to court, you never know. Trump is the winner in this. He's winning morally. Interestingly, when he says that his speech was beautiful and calming, well, that's definitely not true. He was certainly wronged by the BBC. It was disgraceful, but his speech was far from calming. He roused the assembled rabble and incited them by talking about how the election was stolen, which it categorically wasn't stolen. It was won fair and square by his opponent. So I think that Trump is the victim here, but I think that he is lying now when he says that he delivered a beautiful and calming speech to the people assembled.
Andy, thank you.
I have to say about the BBC. Sorry, I was just going to say about the BBC.
Yes.
If they were to lose, it's conceivable that their total costs could be something like $1.5 billion. And that would be something like £1.2 billion. That's out of a total budget of 5.7. So that would hobble the organisation completely for years.
Although usually when people sue, they sue for a huge amount and get an awful lot less. And people who have won libel cases in the past usually get an awful lot less in our courts. But of course they may well be sued in Florida. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Andy, thank you, Andy Preston, there, political commentator and former independent mayor of Middlesbrough.